If you're not living the life that you picture to live every single day, stop and figure out why. What can you do? How can you make it happen? Believe in yourself. If you're in a bad relationship and you want to get out, because if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? And if you don't take care of yourself, no one's doing it for you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Worldwide. Wherever you are in this great big world, thank you so much for tuning in and for being here with us today. Well, it's a new week, another inspiring guest with advice for you. So let's get right to it. The topic is the media personality. Maybe you want to be on TV or you want to have your own TV show. But where do you start? Well, my guest today is Lisa Bien. And Lisa is a TV show host of the Temple TV program called Your Best Life with Lisa. She's also a regular contributor to PHL 17 in Philly, and she gives the morning motivation. Now, that's not all Lisa does. She is an author of 3 different books, and through Lisa Bien Enterprises, she helps people to be on their journey toward compassion and kindness, and she uses workshops and programs to help transform lives. Well, I could say a lot about Lisa, but it's better she shares her journey and advice with you. Welcome, Lisa. Welcome to Women Worldwide.
Well, I'm excited to be here with you today, and thank you for having me. I'm very excited to share my story and any advice that anybody that will be helpful to anybody.
Well, that's wonderful, because I know that the Women Worldwide audience, all of you out there, probably have lots of questions for Lisa and want to hear her advice, because Lisa, you are a well-known media personality. And that's always my first question, just to get to, how did you decide to go down this path to be the TV show host and create your own program?
Well, let's just talk about that, because that's the whole show right there. So when I was little, when I was in college, I always wanted to be on TV. It was my dream. I went to Temple University as an undergrad, and we're talking a long time ago. I'm dating myself. I'm 55 years old, right? So I remember walking down the hall and seeing these, the women who wanted to be in TV. They were blonde and blue eyes, and they were beautifully, they were beautiful. And I was like, well, that's not me, and I can't be in TV. And to be honest, I never had enough self-esteem to believe in myself enough to move forward in that journey. So I went and became a PR person. So I spent a great part of my life, as you know, telling other people's stories, while always having this little nudge in my head that was said, you want to be in TV, you want to be in TV, you want to be in TV. And so it really was part of my journey. I think it's always there. You know how they say if something's in your universe and you feel it, your vortex, then it's meant to be there. So I've always believed that it was meant to be there. And so when I was graduated from Temple, while I was at Temple, I had a professor who changed my life. And she basically said, for the first time in my life, you are smart enough. So I started to believe in myself a little bit more. So then I started teaching at Temple. I'll try to make this fast because I want to get to the nuts and the bolts, but I was teaching at Temple for 15 years, and I'm going, I still teach there and at Rowan University. And I noticed that the kids, the students, they were lacking coping skills. They were lacking the ability to have a tough conversation with me or the family members. And I remember thinking, wow, we do a great job as a society teaching our kids, go to school, get good grades, and really be nice to your, teachers. But what does that mean?
Right.
What does all that mean? But what we don't really teach our kids is how to have conversations, how to live a meaningful life, how to love yourself, how to be true to yourself. So honestly, I thought I would go to Temple and I would become do a motivational presentation. And actually the TV show was not my idea. The TV show, I went and I met with a woman by the name of Betty, Tuttleman, and she is the one that said, you need a platform. And I said, okay. And she said, you need a TV show.
You were like,
still,
what?
and it's so funny. I'm like, what? And as she's saying it, I'm thinking, who's going to be the host? Like, it still didn't hit me.
This show.
It still didn't hit me. And so then she's like, well, we'll talk to Paul Gluck. So Paul Gluck is the general manager at Temple University, an amazing human being. And his office was down the hall. And I tell this story, and it's so true. I went like this, wait. I go, hold on, Betsy. And I jumped up and I got Paul, and Paul came over. Literally that afternoon, we were sitting there, and he said, Betsy and I said, what about doing a show that it talks about overcoming life stuff? Because we all go through life stuff. What about resiliency? And Paul said, I love the show. He looked at me and he said, yeah, get your first draft of your script together and come in on X day and get your first guest. This was 8 years ago. And I looked at him and I said, wait, I'm going to be the host? And he said, yeah. And I thought, oh my God. And it's interesting because one of my first reactions was to Paul, I got to lose weight. And Paul said, stop that. Your show is about authenticity. And you know what? And it's funny because I look at and I will always remember that him saying your show is about authenticity and my show is about being real and telling real life stories about people who really overcome great adversity in their life. Because I myself struggled with low self-esteem, not feeling pretty enough, not feeling smart enough until my young adult life. So my goal is to help everybody, but really women are my primary audience, to wrap their arms around themselves and say, you got this. You know, to believe that we can do anything. Look, I went into TV, I'm 55. So I went into TV at a time when women are leaving TV.
That's right. That's right. Very true. Mm-hmm.
So TV's just always been, it's just been something I've always wanted to do. I think it's about telling stories. I've been doing the show at Temple for 8 years. It started out as Bouncing Back with Lisa Bien, and it was just shows about overcoming adversity. And I'm laughing because I'm remembering me running around campus trying to find guests in the beginning. Like, you want to share your story? You want to share your story? And people were like, yes. And then they would come on my show and they would tell me things that they didn't tell me in the pre-interview, you know? And I'd be like, wait, you didn't tell me that. And they'd be like, well, we felt really comfortable telling you that.
You're easy to speak to.
Yeah, right. That's kind of like my sweet spot where I'm like, oh, that's great that people want to tell me their stories. But at the same time, I'm like, I wish I would have had a little heads up for that. So
what sort of skills did you need once you started to believe in yourself, you wrapped your arms around yourself? There was a point that Paul said, go do the script and get the guests. What skills did you apply? What would somebody need to do if you could share a few skills so that they know if they're right for actually being a TV show host?
Being a TV show host, for me anyway, I think is being interested in people's stories and being a good listener. And I had to work on being a good listener. I still don't think I'm a great listener, but I am invested in the story. And so you have to be a good listener. One of the stories I remember is I had Tracy Davidson on my show, and I was so excited to get Tracy Davidson from NBC 10. I was so proud of myself, and she's an awesome human being. And she was so kind. And at the end of the show, we were talking, and she gave me a little mentor advice. And she said, you always want to be connected to the show. You always want to be connected to the person that you're interviewing. And I never forget, I thought, that was one of those life lessons I'll never forget. It was one of the best pieces of advice she ever gave me, because now every time I do a show, I'm connected to the person, the story, right, the human being. It's a human being. It's not me. So I think in the beginning, I just wanted to get it right. You have to have good interview skills. You have to know what are the good questions. Being a good listener. You know, sometimes I could go prepared. In the beginning, I'd go prepared with like 20 questions, right? And I'd be like, I gotta get this question, I gotta get the, and then you're like, wait a minute. It's about a relationship. It's about having a great conversation.
Right, being conversational, definitely.
It's very conversational, but you have to write a script. I never wrote a script before. So you have to have good writing skills. You have to know how to write a script, which through the years, I've gotten better and better. Paul, again, has been the greatest teacher. And, he'll tell me that, last week I did a show and he's like, that was a great, one of your best shows. And after every show, he would say to me, that was a good show, but next time work on this. And you got to have thick skin.
Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm.
You got to have thick skin. I did stand-up comedy for years. And I think it was great preparation for me to have thick skin, because I still don't really have thick skin. I think I try to act like I do, but I really don't. But you got to be able to take some, constructive criticism, because you want to get better. Right. I want to get better. I will.
Not only from you, and you will get better, but not only constructive criticism from your producer, but you're going to get it from maybe your guests, from their publicists, from the public. That's a lot of it. Of course, it's a gift. You get feedback, and then there's the critique part. But that helps too, I would think, with the tougher skin.
Yeah, and you have to be open to it. You have to, here's the thing, what I've learned through my life, and I tell people this a lot. I take advice from people who genuinely I respect and keep in high regard. You can be respectful of everybody, but just because somebody says something doesn't mean it's fact. Doesn't mean it's true. Somebody could tell me, your hair looks purple today. Okay, so my hair looks purple. It's not like, oh my God, my hair looks purple. Oh my God, I better go to colors. I better go see what's wrong with my hair. It's their opinion, how they see it through their eyes. It's up to you as a person. And when you really start to love yourself and have faith in yourself and believe in yourself, it's up to you to say, thanks for the advice, and keep walking, so to speak.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I did stand up, I got that all the time. People would come and say, that last joke, it really wasn't very funny. Or, this joke, how about if you make it this way or tell it that way? It's like, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's right. It's always good to hear. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to take it as fact. That's such a good point. Also, is time management a skill that you have to have when you're managing a show? You have your business, workshops that you're giving? I would think so.
Yeah, I am the queen of planning. And it's really funny because if someone says to me, what are you doing in 2 weeks on Tuesday night? And if I look at my calendar and I'm free, I'll say, good, I'm good. I am not the girl. Don't make plans with me or try to get me on your calendar. If it's like, well, let me get back to you, it's a maybe. No, because I have things that are scheduled out. Right. So I live according to my schedule because I'm very aware of and being mindful. If you and I made an appointment to talk at 2:00 in the afternoon, I will be there at 2:00 in the afternoon, unless, the sky is falling and God forbid somebody's sick. You know what I mean? Right. Because I'm very mindful of that. I've always been really good at time management. I've been better at not wasting my time, meaning I used to go out just for the sake of going out. I think the pandemic taught me how to make better use of my time, because all of a sudden during the pandemic, I had all this time, and I remember at one point, everybody was talking about what Netflix they were watching. And I thought, I can't do this. Like, I can't sit here in front of a TV and just, day in and day out. So I'm really good. Sundays are my day. I really try to make Sundays a day of free of work. Oh, good. But I'm also reading constantly. I'm an avid reader. But I'm not reading the books like that you think, I'm not reading like Love in the Afternoon. I'm reading like How to Be Happy and, what's Oprah's new book saying? I just, I'm halfway through Oprah's new book. Oh, I'm good. Very into constant learning because I want to know what's out there. And you asked me in the beginning, like, what makes a good TV host? What are people talking about? And right. What do they want to hear? Right? Especially on my motivational piece on PHL 17. I'm always trying to be very, this week I did a piece on we're more social now. Here's some tips on how to be, more social. So I think if you want it, it's like anything in life, Deidre. If you want it, you have to want it so bad that you're willing to work through parties. You hear people say that.
You have to be disciplined, Lisa.
You have to be disciplined. There's been many a times where I'm working on July 4th afternoon because I have things to do, or I'm working through a holiday. And it's not because I'm antisocial. I'm really social, but I have to weigh like what needs to get done. People say to me a lot, how do you get all that done? And I'm like, it's very, you give up stuff, but I know that my goal, I'm going to keep going.
Right. Well, it's just like on Saturday night, I think I sent over an email to you and Robin, and that was Saturday night. You sort of, when you need to work and you have to manage your time, you do it. But at the same time, I guess as an entrepreneur, I'm always finding little opportunities to take for myself, designing my day. But you do what you have to do. And it's all because of passion.
It is all because of passion. And you said something that's interesting, designing your day. And I say all the time, we have to create our day. So I get up at 5:30 every morning. I used to be 5, and I'm becoming a late riser at 5. And I go to bed early though. And so
Yes.
my friends love to make fun of me. Who goes to bed at 9:30? I'm like, I do, because it's part of my discipline. So discipline to me is part of my planning process. So I know what I need. Lisa needs good, healthy food. Lisa needs a lot of sleep. And Lisa needs to get up in the morning, and I have an hour and a half to myself. I journal, I meditate, I pray, I do what I need to do. Some days I'm just not in the mood to meditate. So I'll journal, or, but I take an hour and a half every morning without fail for myself.
That is so good, because you're setting the intentions for your day and you're creating the day that you want it to be. I think that's amazing. Tell us something, Lisa. Are you still stepping out of your comfort zone as a host, or all the time?
Yes. It's funny. Probably 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I was sitting on the beach with my son, who's 26. Today he's 26, and he's kind of like it's funny, we joke, I'm his life coach, he's my business coach. And so we were on the beach one day, and I said, I think I'm going to give my TV show up. I think I'm going to give it up. And he said, why? Because you're not great at it yet. Just like that. I was like, whoop. So yeah, I'm always stepping out of my comfort zone. The subject matter for me sometimes is uncomfortable. I recently did a show which you were a guest on, and
yes.
I was so nervous about that show because I wanted to be extremely mindful of the subject. It was death by suicide. And I wanted to be very mindful of, the subject matter, the people, the guests.
You were, Lisa. You were. And I couldn't tell. I don't think the other two guests could tell that you were nervous. You approached it with such kindness and compassion. So what you're teaching others clearly came through.
Thank you. Well, maybe nervous is the wrong word. I mean, I prepared for that. I did my research for that. I'm always very mindful of my guests and making sure that I'm helping them. My job is just to help frame their story, for them to tell the story and make them feel comfortable.
Right.
There's a piece of me that's really good with people. People come and they want to tell me their story. I go to Wawa and people want to tell me their story. Like, I know people at Wawa. I have friends, like the coffee people. That's just who I am. And so it's always been me. It's always been my ability to get people to be comfortable with me. And then also, I believe I'm on this earth because God gave me this incredible ability to look at people and tell them and remind them just how incredibly awesome they are. We forget that. We forget how wonderful we are. We're so busy as moms being that perfect mom, or the good wife, or the good whatever.
Professional who's so giving,
the executive, that we forget that we are incredible human beings. And guess what? We are only here once. This is not a rehearsal. So I'm really trying to remind people to embrace who they are, love who they are, and remind them that you get one shot at it. One shot.
One shot.
Be your best friend. Be your own best friend and go after your dreams. Nothing is going to stand. I am ready for The View or the Today Show. I don't know which one's going to call me first, but I'm waiting.
Maybe you'll have both.
Yeah, right. I would love to get out on The View.
Right.
You see me, it'd be so fun.
It would be so fun. What can you tell people who want to be on TV as guests? Is there anything that they can do to help a TV show host make it a better segment? What can the guests do?
The guests, absolutely. So what the guests can do, if you have a story to tell and you want to get on TV, whether it's my show or any show, the first thing you need to do is understand how you're going to make it relevant to the producer, right? Because some people are like, I wrote a book. Okay, that's great. But what's your book about, right? So figure out what the hook is. Try to make it timely, try to piggyback on a piece of news. If you're launching a new book and it's related to Mother's Day, well, then, 2 months prior, start sending out news releases or even just a letter. And let's not overcomplicate it. Let's keep it simple, right? What is your story? And how do you want to tell it? Tell the producer how to tell the story. Make the job of the TV person easy. So if you have a story you want to share with me, just send me an email that says, hi, Lisa, I want to share this story, and do 5 or 6 bullets. Listen, people read in bullets. We talk in bullets. So, and tell the TV person like why you should be on as a guest.
That is great advice. And it's so simple.
Well, I think we try to overcomplicate everything that we do, right?
Exactly. And Lisa, maybe I can't even believe we're nearing the end of our discussion. Maybe you can just give some parting advice, overall advice about the media personality or something about transforming your life to really do what you want to do and create your dream.
I always tell people, get off the treadmill of life, like take a break. And honestly, the pandemic did that for a lot of folks, outside of the sickness and all that. It really made a lot of people step back. And if the pandemic hasn't taught us anything, is that life is short and it's fragile. And so if you're in a bed, if you're not living the life that you picture to live every single day, stop and figure out why. What can you do? How can you make it happen? Believe in yourself. If you're in a bad relationship and you want to get out, because if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? And if you don't take care of yourself, no one's doing it for you. Nobody is coming to your rescue. I tell people, nobody's coming to help. Nobody's coming to, unfortunately, you got to believe and love yourself enough to create the life that you want. And if you don't believe that you deserve it, then you have to look around and get help, right? Get help. We can't do it alone. I went and I saw a therapist. I still see a therapist. That therapist changed my life. Therapy, coaches, there's people out there that want to help you create the life that you deserve. We all deserve to have the very best life that we want to have.
Absolutely. And life is short. Like you said before, you only get one shot. So take a break from that life, figure out why, and get the help you need. That is powerful advice, Lisa. My goodness. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Question, super easy. Where can people find out more about you, your TV show, and your work?
So I always direct people to my website. It's lisabn.com. It's simple. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. There's an area where you can sign up for a newsletter. There's a spot on my newsletter. There's a spot on my website where you can reach out to me. I'm very approachable. My phone number is everywhere. My email, if somebody wants to email me, it's just lisa@lisabn.com. I do a lot of motivational seminars, motivational speaking. I love to do training. So that's the best way to get me, is to email me or go on my website.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, all of your advice, your insights. Really, really good, Lisa. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, anytime. And I hope everybody looks you up. I hope they find you out there. They watch your show, because it's a really good show and it gets into some excellent conversations and stories that need to be heard. So thank you.
Thank you.
And a big thank you to all of you for tuning into Women Worldwide. Keep the conversations going and the feedback coming. And you know where to find me. I am on Twitter. I'm @DBreckenridge, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Well, friends, until our next episode, stay focused, energized, and feeling empowered. Thank you.